Year 12, this is your ultimate after school routine and everything that I did in my first year of sixth form to get 5 A stars in my A-levels. And as always, I just want to preface that this is what works for me. You might prefer to structure your time in a completely different way. Oh, and by the way, I post my top A-level tips and tricks, as well as UCAS and personal statement advice every single day. Be sure to follow me so you don't miss out. Okay, so for me, I really enjoyed doing my work, my homework, my revision in sixth form. So I would go in early, like 8 to 9 a.m, even if I didn't have a class, and I would work in the library. And you might be a little confused because you're like, revision in year 12? Not always. Year 12 is not as intense as year 13. So a lot of the time the work I was doing was homework, or in the class if we'd been given some questions, I would always try and finish the rest of the questions even if we didn't have to. I would be making revision resources like flashcards or study sets, and in some of my frees I genuinely just spent them with my friends. We like went to the shop or went to Subway or whatever. But my biggest tip is to treat a sixth form day like a school day, because this meant that after school a lot of the time I could go home and not actually have homework to do. However, this is what I did when I did get home. So you do need to be doing some sort of work, even if it's not academic, especially at this point in year 12. I would get home and I wouldn't use my phone. I would spend a good hour or so reading for my personal statement. I read so many books for my personal statement and I ended up not actually including them all. But I read books about different things as well because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So when I got in from sixth form, a lot of my evenings were actually taken up by doing supercurriculars. Reading, I attended a few online lecture courses. Sometimes after sixth form, I would go to societies or I would go and do my sport. And then this would take me up until about 5 or 6 o'clock every day. Whether it was, you know, doing these supercurriculars or if it was an extracurricular activity. But then after 6 p.m, bear in mind I've been doing all this work in the day. Year 12 is quite chill. Often I would just not do much. Unless I had an exam approaching or my mock, then I would be revising, doing Pomodoros up until about 8 o'clock. But considering I'd spent all day doing my supercurricular, doing my homework, revising the things that I was weaker on and just staying on top of things, it meant that I didn't have to work late into the evening. So honestly, after 6 p.m. on a lot of days, I could just chill out. Or actually, when I was in sixth form, I did have a job and I used to work on some weeknights. And this was 6 till 12. I'm not saying that you should do that, but I am saying that after 6 o'clock, if you've been doing work in the day, you don't need a fully fledged study routine for every day because the workload is not too intense. And if you're just always doing work, you're going to burn yourself out. If you found this video helpful, be sure to save it for later, comment to stay on study time, and follow it for more daily A-level tips.